Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pirates, sign in at the beginning of the Naruto character card. Chapter 61. Whoever can win in this contest will be favored by the top leaders of the world government, and thus be invited to the Holy Land of Mariajoya for negotiations, and finally be given a legal identity. This is already a trick used by the world government, so Boa Hancock is well aware of this. Even if what you said is right, then I have a chance to come back. As long as I can kill you, all your plans will be ruined, and I will be the one who will negotiate with the world government. Haha, do you want to give it a try? But I can tell you clearly in advance that I am a lustful person. If you want to fight with me, you will be captured by me later, then I don't know what will happen. On you. Chin Chuan spoke in a frivolous tone. And as soon as he said those words, he immediately scared everyone around him. Douglas Barrett, who had been by Chin Chuan's side all this time, couldn't help showing a suspicious expression. Obviously he didn't think Chin Chuan was this kind of person. As for Bartolomeo, he was even more surprised. He originally thought that after Boa Hancock boarded the boat, he would be able to get closer to him. But seeing what Captain Chin Chuan said now, I'm afraid she has already been targeted by Chin Chuan, and then he is completely useless. Captain Chin Chuan, be careful, her devil fruit is specially designed to deal with perverts. Hearing Chin Chuan's words, Shaw Crocodile was startled, and then quickly reminded him. He had seen Boa Hancock make a move, and her devil fruit ability could instantly turn people into petrification, so he thought it should not be taken lightly. What devil fruit is designed to deal with perverts? Bartolomeo asked curiously when he heard that. Superman is a sweet devil fruit. This devil fruit can petrify people who are obsessed with oneself, and can also directly use the ability to petrify opponents. Before Shaw Crocodile spoke, Chin Chuan on the side said with a smile on his face. Obviously, he knew the devil fruit of this peerless beauty for a long time. And to deal with Boa Hancock, there are only two situations that can save her from petrification. The first type is the person who has no lust for her. However, Chin Chuan is not like a piece of wood like the pirate Wang Lufei. He is a normal man anyway, so it is hard to say that he has no lust. Coupled with his frivolous words just now, it is estimated that if he really hits the other party's devil fruit, he will be petrified immediately. And the second one is that it is ineffective for people who are not paying attention to her. In the anime, Lieutenant General Flying Squirrel stabbed himself with a knife, forced himself to divert his attention with the pain in his palm, and finally avoided petrification. However, Chin Chuan has no tendency to be masochistic, so he doesn't consider this method at all. So now, what is in front of him is to use ninjutsu as much as possible to block the devil fruit moves released by Boa Hancock. And it just so happened that an hour had passed, and the possession effect of Terumi Mei had completely disappeared, so Chin Chuan simply used the character card of Itachi Uchiha again. Ding, the host successfully used the Uchiha Itachi character card, and the number of possession uses -1. Just when he possessed the character again, Boa Hancock on the opposite side also lost his composure. Originally, she wanted to wait patiently for the opportunity and then use her special devil fruit ability to sneak attack this group of people. After all, in anyone's eyes, these are some lecherous and smelly men. And her devil fruit was specially designed to deal with people like them, so she never thought that her devil fruit skills would not work. But right now not only Shaw Crocodile already knows her devil fruit ability, even Chin Chuan seems to know it very well, so it is impossible to wait patiently for the opportunity. So she can only launch an attack suddenly when the other party is not too prepared. At this moment, Boa Hancock suddenly snorted, and then made a love gesture with both hands. Be careful, she's about to attack. Seeing this scene, Chin Chuan hurriedly shouted. It's too late, Tian Tian Gong Feng. The next moment, a dazzling pink light suddenly released from the middle of the love gesture made by Boa Hancock's hands. This ray of light rushed towards Chin Chuan and the others immediately. But just when the light was about to touch Chin Chuan turned his body into countless crows again and quickly flew around. At the same time, Douglas Barrett, who didn't know much about the ability of this devil fruit, subconsciously wanted to use his armed domineering power to resist this ray of light attack. But when the light hit the red domineering armor on his body, his whole body was completely petrified in an instant. Obviously, the attack of this devil fruit is domineering and unstoppable. And Shaw Crocodile, who still knew Boa Hancock well, completely elementalized his body immediately. In this way, his whole body is just a mess of loose sand. And it just so happened that this attack had no effect on non-living creatures, so he naturally dodged it. At the same time, Bartolomeo also made his classic commons fingers gesture for the first time. Then, a transparent barrier wall naturally appeared in front of him. When this ray of light hits this transparent barrier wall, it also has no effect. So Boa Hancock's sudden attack only hit Douglas Barrett in the first place. Maid, go! Shaw Crocodile, who reappeared through elementalization, already had anger on his face at this time. He is not a sympathetic person, so he immediately grabbed his hook and prepared to strike. At the same time, Chin Chuan also transformed back through the crow again. But the next moment, Boa Hancock shot again. Obviously, she also knew that relying on the first move to catch people by surprise would definitely not be able to petrify these people, so the first move was actually just her smoke bomb. Immediately afterwards, she lightly touched her lips with her fingers, and then transformed into a huge pink peach-colored heart-shaped substance, and then pulled it back like a bow and arrow. The next moment, a large number of pink arrows quickly shot towards everyone in front of them. Because Boa Hancock was afraid of missing anyone, this time her attack involved Aurora. Even in this huge palace, all of them were densely packed with pink arrows for a while. This time, Sand Crocodile and Bartolomeo are still trying to do it the same way. But just after Shaw Crocodile turned his body into elements, when the pink arrow touched the fine sand behind his element, the fine sand turned into petrification in the air in an instant. At the same time, when the arrow touched Bartolomeo's transparent barrier wall, the transparent barrier wall was also instantly petrified. When the transparent barrier wall failed, other arrows shot straight at him. Bartolomeo didn't expect such a situation at this time, so he didn't take any measures to dodge at the first time. In fact, he has nowhere to hide. So the next moment, his whole body was completely petrified. On the other hand, Chin Chuan didn't take any countermeasures at all, and just stood where he was shot by the arrow and petrified. And powerful people like Chin Chuan were petrified, not to mention the other Daughter Island soldiers in the arena. For a moment, Boa Hancock was the only one left in the scene. After seeing everyone petrified, Boa Hancock finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then she raised her eyebrows, and got up with a proud face, ready to walk towards the direction where Chin Chuan and others were petrified. This time, she wanted to completely kill these people in a petrified state. And if she can destroy the Chinchuan pirates by herself, she must also be able to negotiate with the world government in the future. At that time, the status of this Amazon Lily Kingdom of his own in the world may skyrocket. Thinking of this, Boa Hancock couldn't help showing a smile. But just as she got up and walked down the high platform, suddenly the domineering aura she carried sensed a change in her surroundings. Knowledge color domineering is one of the 3 kinds of domineering. It can sharpen people's 5 senses, so that people can have the domineering ability to detect the breath and emotional changes of surrounding creatures, and can also be used to predict and avoid danger. So after there was a change around him, Boa Hancock quickly sensed a slight crisis. But just when she was trying to figure out what was going on, an arm stretched out from her neck in an instant. The next moment, this powerful arm directly strangled her neck tightly. At the same time, a body was directly attached to Boa Hancock's back. Boa Hancock was shocked when he saw this scene. It would be fine if someone strangled her neck from behind, but the other party actually pressed her body against her. This is quite ambiguous behavior. So this can't help but make Boa Hancock furious. Whoever dares to sneak up on my old lady, let me go, or I will kill you. At this time, everyone present was petrified by her, so she naturally thought that some outsider sneaked in while taking advantage of the chaos, and then took the opportunity to attack her. Hey, I said it, if you want to fight with me, then I won't be sympathetic. At this time, Chin Chuan's voice came from behind. In fact, Chin Chuan was playing with fire, and he didn't really want to take advantage of Boa Hancock. It's just that Boa Hancock's character is very stubborn, so he wants to psychologically destroy Boa Hancock's inner defense. Then it's just an instant advantage. Seeing Chin Chuan suddenly appearing behind her, Boa Hancock's face instantly turned pale. Haven't you been petrified by me? At this time, Boa Hancock's tone was already a little flustered. Because she is now tightly strangled by Chin Chuan, unable to move at all, and at the same time her back is facing Chin Chuan, which makes her have no way to fight back at all for a while. You can trap me even with your little tricks. That's actually my substitute. If you don't believe me, take a look after unlocking its petrified state. Don't you know how to kiss a gun? Just shoot a bullet through it. Quote. At this time, Chin Chuan not only told her the truth, but also simply told her how to do it. Seeing that Chin Chuan actually knew her own devil fruit ability, Boa Hancock was taken aback for a moment, and then her eyes changed, and she touched her lips with her finger immediately. The next moment, a small peach-colored heart-shaped substance appeared on her finger. Immediately afterwards, Boa Hancock then used it as a bullet, aimed his finger at the petrified Chin Chuan in front of him, and fired it. Sure enough, after the peach-colored heart-shaped bullet hit the petrified Chin Chuan, the petrified state was instantly lifted, and a big hole appeared in Chin Chuan's chest. It's just that no liquid flowed out of the hole at all, and Chin Chuan, who was standing there, looked at her expressionlessly. Then, the living Chin Chuan suddenly turned into a piece of wood suspended in midair, and then fell directly on the floor of the palace. And this is the common substitution technique in the Naruto world. In fact, when Chin Chuan turned into a crow, he immediately recovered his own state, but because he was hiding in the dark and everyone focused on the other people, he ignored it for a while, dropped him. At this time, he had already transformed into a substitute, and then used that substitute to appear in front of everyone again. And he himself hid in the dark, waiting for Boa Hancock to show his feet. You, who the hell are you? Obviously, all moves including turning into a crow are so unfamiliar to her, so she has already begun to feel a little fear of Chin Chuan in her heart. I'm here to pick you up, Chin Chuan still said in a playful tone. At the same time, his body was getting tighter against Boa Hancock. At this time, Boa Hancock was so ashamed that she wanted to find a crack in the ground to sneak in. Fortunately, everyone around her was petrified, otherwise she would be ashamed and commit suicide. It is absolutely impossible for me to go on board with you, you should kill me. Boa Hancock wasn't Shaw Crocodile after all. Shaw Crocodile was not the king of Alabasta, and he never cared about anyone's life or death, so when Chin Chuan threatened him, he hesitated for a moment before making the most sensible choice. But Boa Hancock is different. She is charged with the mission of defending the entire Amazon Lily Kingdom, so it is impossible for her to sit on Chin Chuan's ship, let alone become his crew. Don't you want to take revenge? Don't you want to take revenge on those who saved you? At this moment, Chin Chuan suddenly said such a sentence. As soon as he said this, Boa Hancock was taken aback for a moment. What are you talking about? Who saved me? Boa Hancock hesitated for a moment before asking back. But at this time her body obviously began to tremble slightly. When you were 12 years old, you and your two younger sisters, Boa Sandersonia and Boa Marigold, were abducted by human traffickers from the ship of the 9 snake pirates and sold to the nobles of the world, Tianlongren. Then those celestial dragons locked you in a cell, and then branded the slave's mark, dragon's hoof, on the backs of several of you. And when you became a slave, you were forced to eat sweet devil fruit, so you have this ability. But those Tianlong people never expected that you would be rescued by a Murloc man named Fisher Tiger. Back then, that guy climbed onto the Red Earth continent with his bare hands and came to Marijoya, the holy place where the Tianlong people lived, and liberated the slaves who suffered there, including your 3 sisters. In the end, you returned to the Kuja pirates with the help of others. Am I right? Quote. When Chin Chuan finished speaking, Boa Hancock, who was still trembling, was completely dumbfounded. She let go of Chin Chuan's arm, and she seemed to be frozen. Seeing this scene, Chin Chuan also slowly let go of his arm that strangled her. The next moment, Boa Hancock turned around suddenly, and then looked at Chin Chuan sharply. Are you a celestial dragon? Or a Murloc? Her eyes were full of anger, especially when Chin Chuan brought up her unbearable past in front of her. And very few people know about this matter, only the Tianlong people and the people who helped them return to the 9 snake pirates knew it clearly. Neither of them, but what is certain is that I am on the opposite side of the celestial dragons and the world government. In other words, you and I share a common goal, which is to make the Tianlong people disappear from this world completely. Quote. After hearing Qin Chuan's words that he wanted to destroy the Tianlong people, Boa Hancock was shocked again. She has only seen 2 people who dared to fight against the Tianlong people in this life, and one was Fisher Tiger who rescued herself from the dire straits. And the other one is Qin Chuan, who looks young and whose origin is unknown. At this time, she suddenly saw a glimpse of Fisher Tiger's appearance in Qin Chuan. And Fisher Tiger was her absolute hero and object of admiration from beginning to end. At the beginning, Fisher Tiger died of serious injuries after being ambushed by the Navy, so she had no chance to follow and repay his kindness. But now, Qin Chuan appeared in front of her, and he also had the same ultimate goal as her. This couldn't help but make Boa Hancock's heart suddenly turbulent. Obviously, she was a little moved. How? Since I have come, it is impossible to leave empty-handed, or you will be defeated by me, and you will be removed from the world government at that time. And your country is no longer protected by the Navy. Either you get on the boat with me, then I will cover your Amazon Lily Kingdom from now on. Quote. At this time, Qin Chuan directly showed his cards. You haven't told me yet, how do you know my life experience? The secret must not be revealed, but I promise you that at a suitable time in the future, I will take the initiative to tell you everything I really want. In addition, I can be sure that I will not harm you, let alone your country, otherwise I would kill you when I met your soldiers from the very beginning. You know, I'm someone who dares to beat up an admiral. Qin Chuan took the opportunity to brag. After listening to Qin Chuan's words, Boa Hancock fell into a struggle in his heart. Obviously, there is only one way out for her now, and that is to follow Qin Chuan. If I want to announce that I am following you, do you know what kind of blow my Amazon Lily Kingdom will suffer? At that time, not only the pirates will be eyeing us, but even the world government will not easily let Daughter Island go. Quote. At this time, Boa Hancock was still more worried about the fate of the entire country. After all, I am the lord of a country. If I really go on board with Qin Chuan, then it is equivalent to automatically giving up the power of Qi Wuhai under the king. This is undoubtedly a provocative act for world governments and navies. Haha, you worry too much. As I said just now, your country is under my control. Qin Chuan said domineeringly. But what, now the world government wants me to destroy the other kings Shichibukai, and then go to the Holy Land Marioa to talk to them. So at least in a short period of time, they will not think about moving your country. By the time they really want to touch you, maybe I've already killed Mary Hoya. Quote. Although what Qin Chuan said is a bit exaggerated, the facts are true. If he announces that he will recruit Boa Hancock into the regiment in front of the whole world, then the world government and navy will not come here to find fault. Isn't it obvious that he was against Qin Chuan? In addition, the Daughter Island itself is located in a windless zone, and ordinary pirates dare not approach it at all. Capable pirates are either in the New World, or they are those kings who are under Chiwahai. But now that he was going to trouble them, how could they dare to take the initiative to come out and hang out? Therefore, Daughter Island will not have too much trouble in a short period of time, at least until it turns against the world government. This is also one of the reasons why Qin Chuan is so confident. Sure enough, after hearing what Qin Chuan said, Boa Hancock was completely shaken. I am willing to follow you, but this matter is related to the fate of our entire Amazon Lily Kingdom, so I cannot make a decision alone. Well, go and call Gloriosa. After Boa Hancock expressed his concerns, Qin Chuan suddenly said something like this. Do you know Gloriosa? Boa Hancock was even more surprised to see that Qin Chuan still knew Gloriosa. Because there are very few people in this world who know Gloriosa, so Qin Chuan can still pronounce this name. Gloriosa was the emperor of the previous generations of Amazon Lily, and it was she who followed Rayleigh and others to find out the 3 sisters Boa and Hancock. Therefore, from this, it can be clearly explained that Qin Chuan may really have something to do with the group of people who rescued him back then. Thinking of this, Boa Hancock's hostility towards Qin Chuan completely disappeared. After all, if it had something to do with the people who rescued him back then naturally he wouldn't want to harm them. Okay. Boa Hancock then nodded. Well, let's let these guys go first, I guess they won't be able to hold back after being petrified for a long time. At this time, Qin Chuan glanced at the other people around the scene and spoke again. And the next moment, Boa Hancock immediately lifted everyone's petrified state. After everyone's petrified status was lifted, they realized that Qin Chuan was actually standing with Boa Hancock right in front of them. This scene also made everyone confused. Captain Qin Chuan, what's going on? Douglas Barrett pressed immediately after being freed. Congratulations to Boa Hancock for joining our team. Qin Chuan smiled slightly, then put his hand on Boa Hancock's shoulder and said leisurely. Seeing Qin Chuan touching her body again, Boa Hancock's body trembled, and when he was about to push Qin Chuan's hand away, Qin Chuan's subtle voice sounded beside him. Give me some face and let me pretend. At this time, Qin Chuan was still looking at everyone with a smile on his face. After seeing Qin Chuan's words, and thinking that he might be the descendant of his benefactors, Boa Hancock really didn't resist. Seeing Qin Chuan resting on Boa Hancock's shoulders in such a leisurely manner, not only Douglas Barrett and others were surprised, but even the other Daughter Island people were stunned in place. Especially her two younger sisters, who just stared at her sister dumbfounded. They never expected that in such a short period of time, their sister would become like this. Come on, go and call Gulo Liosa. At this time, Boa Hancock said lightly. But at this moment, an imperceptible blush appeared on her face. Yes, one of the soldiers nodded and walked out immediately. Captain, what is going on here? At this moment, Bartolomeo couldn't help his curiosity. He couldn't believe it at all, especially when Boa Hancock killed them before. Why was Qin Chuan shouldering him after being petrified for a while? This is the charm of personality, understand. He is also the lord of a country. Although he was a little obsessed at first, after you were petrified, I had an in-depth exchange with Boa Hancock. Immediately afterwards, she was infected by my personality charm, and then she was naturally willing to join our big family. Quote. At this time, although Qin Chuan had withdrawn the hand on Boa Hancock's shoulder, his mouth was still bragging. And Boa Hancock couldn't help but roll his eyes at him after hearing these words. Captain, I really admire you more and more. You can handle this girl, it's terrible, please accept my knee. Bartolomeo couldn't help but praise Qin Chuan. On the other side, Douglas Barrett and Sandy Crocodile were equally confused. Neither of them were surprised that Boa Hancock would come aboard, but neither of them expected to be so easily persuaded. After all, they also knew that Boa Hancock's identity and status were there. Even if Qin Chuan really defeated her, she would definitely not agree to him so easily for a while. Moreover, judging from the current health status of the two parties, it is obvious that the two have never fought against each other. That is to say, Qin Chuan actually persuaded the other party with his own mouth, which shocked both of them. After a while, an old woman who was shorter than ordinary people, with white wavy hair, a flower stuck in her left hairline, and a pet snake curled up into a walking stick, walked in slowly. After seeing her, everyone bowed and bowed one after another to show their respect for her. Defeated. After walking in, Gu Luoliosa actually said such a sentence in the first time. This sentence also shows that she seems to know all about it very well. Yes, I may have to leave the Amazon Lily Kingdom. At this moment, Boa Hancock said solemnly. In fact, Boa Hancock was not particularly surprised by what Gloriosa said. Because Daughter Island is located in the windless belt, it is difficult to get news from the outside world. And she is the only one in Daughter's Island who spends all day thinking about how to obtain information from the outside world. It was she who learned that Qin Chuan and the others had set their sights on them, and then she ran over and told Boa Hancock, and at the same time told her to be careful. But Boa Hancock didn't pay attention to Qin Chuan at all at the time, let alone think that they would find Daughter Island in the first place. That's why Qin Chuan and others landed on the island so easily. And when they heard that Boa Hancock was about to leave Daughter's Island, the surrounding Daughter's Island soldiers all exclaimed. Are you Qin Chuan? After hearing Boa Hancock's words, Gu Luoliosa did not feel surprised, but looked at Qin Chuan with a serious expression. That's right, Qin Chuan said casually. In fact, Qin Chuan called her over because of her wisdom. On Daughter's Island, in terms of strength, it must be the Empress Boa Hancock, but when it comes to wisdom, it must be this inconspicuous old woman. Sure enough, Gu Luoliosa nodded towards Qin Chuan first, then looked at Boya Hancock and said seriously, this person may revive our Amazon Lily Kingdom in the future. So I think your decision is correct, and I will elect a new emperor of the Amazon Lily Kingdom as soon as possible, so don't worry about it. Quote. As soon as Gu Luoliosa said this, the scene was in an uproar again. No one expected that Gu Luoliosa would say such serious words. In particular, she also mentioned the revival of the Amazon Lily Kingdom. The Amazon Lily Kingdom has been silent for too long, especially a country that is only composed of women, and even the United Nations formed by the world government cannot enter, let alone every world conference. That's why Boa Hancock will work hard to become a King Shichibukai, and then use this identity to protect his country. But now, suddenly there is such a person who can lead the whole country to rise, which makes all the Daughter Island people present have a glimmer of hope in their hearts. Not only them, but even Boya Hancock looked at Qin Chuan blankly. Gu Luoliosa has always been her military advisor, and many things have verified that her predictions are very accurate. But now she actually made such a positive affirmation of Qin Chuan, which made her doubt Qin Chuan's identity even more. Sister, do you really want to leave us? At this time, Boa Marigold, the youngest of the three sisters, spoke in a crying voice. Didn't you hear what my mother-in-law said just now? Qin Chuan can lead us to glory. If this is the case, then naturally I have to follow in his footsteps. Quote. Boa Hancock said seriously. At this time, she had made up her mind to follow Qin Chuan. Mr. Qin Chuan, besides bringing our empress aboard, is there anything else we can do for you? Guroliosa then said again. Well, yes, we spent a lot of time traveling across the ocean, and we didn't have a good meal along the way, so you guys gave us a sumptuous dinner. In addition, it can be regarded as saying goodbye to your empress. Quote. After careful consideration, Qin Chuan blurted out. Okay, you two obey the order, go down and arrange a state banquet, and tell the people of the whole country, let everyone participate in this feast together. Gloriosa immediately turned to look at Boa Hancock's two younger sisters and said. The two younger sisters nodded after hesitating for a moment, and then led the crowd out. Immediately afterwards, the news that Boa Hancock would abdicate and leave the Amazon Lily Kingdom fell on Daughter Island like a heavy bomb. At first everyone was very angry when they heard the news, and they felt that Boa Hancock had abandoned them. But after learning that Boa Hancock was for the revival of the entire country, everyone's anger was dispelled. And at night, the palace hall was brightly lit, and all the top executives of the Amazon Lily Kingdom gathered together. Among them are Kikyo and others who were beaten by Qin Chuan and others earlier. It's just that at this time, everyone has become their own people, so the past will be written off. At this dinner party, everyone was eating, drinking and having fun. And Gloriosa even arranged for some fantastic dancing. Seeing these women on Daughter Island dancing gracefully on the stage, Bartolomeo's eyes were straightened. If you want him to stay here forever at this time, maybe he is really willing. After the reception ended, everyone was already a little drunk. And taking advantage of this opportunity, Gloriosa also announced some important things on behalf of Boya Hancock. First of all, she accepted Boya Hancock's request to resign from the throne on behalf of all the people of the entire Amazon Lily Kingdom. In addition, Boa Hancock's two sisters were appointed as the commanders of the left and right guards of the Amazon Lily Kingdom. At the same time, she canonized herself as a temporary protector of the country, commanding the affairs of the country, and when Boya Hancock came back again, she would automatically transfer the throne to Boya Hancock again. And in the early morning of the next day, Qin Chuan and others embarked on a new journey again. This time, Qin Chuan and others did not use Neptunes to lead the way again, because they already had a better pet, Snake. Snake is one of the special animals on Daughter Island. They are so large that an adult snake can even pull a boat. But this time, Boa Hancock simply grabbed 8 swimming snakes to pull the huge red forth. At the same time, before Boa Hancock left, she personally sent a letter to the world government in her own name. In this letter, she announced that she has completely abdicated, and at this time she is already an ordinary person in the Amazon Lily Kingdom. And the meaning of her words is also very clear. that is, I am no longer the king, and at the same time I am no longer the Chihuahai under the king. Everything I do next has nothing to do with Amazon Lily Kingdom. When the world government received the news, Morgans also learned of the news immediately. This is also because there are too many informants in Morgans. Even in the Holy Land of Mariajoya, there are also people he placed, or people who provided him with all the information. Immediately afterwards, before the senior officials of the world government responded, the news that Boya Hancock abdicated and joined the Chinchuan pirates once again ignited the world. This time, the Chinchuan pirates once again entered people's field of vision. This is also another big news he made in just 1 month. If Shaw Crocodile's willingness to follow Chin Chuan wasn't enough of a blast before, then this time, Boa Hancock would rather abdicate and join the Chin Chuan pirates, which completely caused a major earthquake. People all over the world are talking about this fast-rising pirate group. At the same time, Chin Chuan's identity has made countless people curious. This Chin Chuan is really capable, even Naboa Hancock was subdued by him. In Marine Vander of the Navy headquarters, Pelusaruno the Yellow Ape was leisurely holding a newspaper and talking to himself in his office. But his words seemed to have some meaning. At the same time, the entire Navy headquarters is already full of discussions. The world government shouldn't have been involved in this matter in the first place. I could have wiped out these pirates in Rog Town. But now, people have begun to rapidly expand their combat power. Quote, Red Dog. Sakazuki rushed into Marshal Sengoku's room angrily, and yelled at him, leaving the newspaper in his hand on his desk. Meh. At this time, the sheep next to Warring States was also frightened by Sakazuki's move. What you have to do is to accept the orders of your superiors. I just let you resume the position of general yesterday. You don't want me to punish you again today, do you? At this time, the Warring States was also full of anger, and he did not issue the order to release Chin Chuan. Although he is the admiral of the Navy, if he wants to disobey, then the commander-in-chief of the 3 armed forces, Kong, above him will directly intervene in the management of the Navy headquarters. That's why he couldn't disobey Wu Laoxing's decision. We wear the coat of justice, so we don't have to worry so much when we do something. In the eyes of the Navy, pirates should all die instead of sitting down and negotiating with others. After saying this, Sakazuki walked out angrily. In fact, with his ability, even in the face of Garp, he is completely worthy. But he has always been ambitious, and this ambition includes replacing the Marshal of the Warring States period. He did this not because he was greedy for power, but because he wanted to show himself on a bigger stage. So in many cases, he can't go too far, otherwise, even if the Warring States abdicates, it will be difficult for him to take the position. After all, compared with the other 2 generals, he likes to disobey his superiors too much. And Smoker, who is also famous for his disobedience to his superiors and has outstanding strength, has completely recovered. Although he suffered a disastrous defeat in the battle with the Chin Chuan pirates, the Navy could only push him to the front for the sake of face. And contacted Morgans and asked him to make a report for the Roger Town Navy headed by Smog. In this report, Smoker fought 1 against 3, and was eventually defeated by being outnumbered. Although almost no one would believe that a captain of the Navy branch can resist the Chinchuan pirates, after all, even the General Sakazuki can't stop the opponent's advance, how can such a small character like you compete with the opponent? But no matter what, at the high-level meeting of the Navy headquarters, Karp and others still elected Smoker to be the Rear Admiral of the Navy headquarters. And according to his own wishes, he was transferred to the G5 branch. This Navy G5 branch is an institution located in the New World, and it and the Navy G1 branch are the few branches of the Navy in the New World. At the same time, it is also the forefront position of the Navy in the New World Sea area. Therefore, the geographical location of the G5 branch is particularly important, and because it is at the forefront, the surrounding area of the G5 branch is always full of crises. Therefore, compared to other naval branches, the sailors in the G5 branch are different from others. They are not like Navy at all, but more like pirates. And in many cases, they are not very good at following the orders of the Navy headquarters, and will brutally kill the captured pirates in the New World. Therefore, there will be some negative scandals such as killing pirates from time to time in the G5 branch. But even so, the Navy headquarters did not impose any punishment on the G5 branch. Because everyone knows very well that if you want to survive in the G5 branch, you have to be cruel, otherwise you will be swallowed by those New World pirates who are countless times more cruel than them. And because of the reputation of this G5 branch, coupled with the high risk factor, many naval generals are reluctant to go there for a permanent stay. At that time, the senior officials of the Navy headquarters did not think about letting Smoker go to the G5 branch, but Smoker was stimulated by Qin Chuan's words of, "Go to the New World if you have the ability." So after learning that he was promoted to Major General, he immediately expressed his desire to go to the G5 branch. However, the higher-ups considered that since he was already a Major General, he could no longer serve in the original branch, and he was also one of the few generals in the Navy headquarters who possessed the natural devil fruit ability, so they agreed to him request. In this way, he took a group of naval soldiers to the New World in a mighty warship. On the warship, Smoker also saw the contents of the newspaper. Qin Chuan, I'm waiting for you in the New World. Compared with the interior of the Navy, all forces in the One Piece world have begun to really pay attention to Qin Chuan. Especially for the remaining Kibu Haley, two pirate groups have already started to take full precautions in the Fishman Island and the West Sea in the first half of the Great Voyage. These two pirate groups are the Sun Pirates and the Dread Bark Pirates. Their captains are Jinbei and Moonlight Mariah, one of the 7 martial seas now under the king. Among the 7 kings and 7 martial seas, except for the 2 who have already been defeated, 3 of the remaining 5 must be difficult to deal with for a while. First of all, in terms of geographical location, both Hawkeye, Joracle Mahawk and Tenyasha, Don Quixote Doflamingo are stationed in the New World Sea. And there is still a long way to go from the Great Route to the New World, so it is presumably impossible for Qin Chuan to set his sights on them for a while. Another king, Shichibukai, Bartholomew Bear, has been incorporated by the world government, and he is currently in the Holy Land of Mary Joy. Therefore, it is even more impossible for Qin Chuan and others to go to the Holy Land of Mary Joa to make trouble. In this way, the only 2 remaining kings Chiwahai in the first half of the New World naturally became the primary target of the Qinchuan pirates. And from the book point of view, the strength of these 2 pirate groups is relatively weak. Therefore, in the Sun Pirates on Fishman Island, Jinbei is already serious. After learning that Boa Hancock had been defeated, he had a premonition that he had been locked by the Qinchuan pirates. In particular, the location of the Fishman Island is very special. The Fishman Island is located 10,000 meters below the seabed of the Holy Land of Mary Joya, and it is the only place to pass to reach the New World. Under normal circumstances, pirates have to cover the body of the ship in the Chambord Islands, and then sail through the currents to reach this place safely. Immediately afterwards, pass through the Subsia Tunnel here to reach the New World Sea area. So if the Qinchuan pirates want to go to the New World, either he applies to the world government, or he has to come here. And if he wants to apply to the world government, he must first become a member of the world government. According to the news released by the outside world before, the world government requires Qin Chuan to subdue more than half of the kings Chi Wuhai before he is eligible to negotiate with them. So if the Qinchuan pirates want to negotiate with the world government, they must defeat him. And even if Qin Chuan does not negotiate with the world government, he must go through this place if he wants to get to the New World. In this way, no matter what, he had to face Qin Chuan and his gang. Captain Jinpei, I have contacted the Whitebeard pirates by phone, and they have decided to send a team to support us. At this time, a bearded man with sharp teeth, a soaring ponytail, and a tattoo of 1TC on his left arm walked up to Jinping and spoke. He is the main member of the Sun Pirates, Aladdin. How can a team do it? The opponent is the guy who defeated the red-haired pirates. Dad is too careless. And what kind of captain led the team to support us? Quote. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Jinbei's face became even more ugly, and Dang even asked. In the very early days, when the founder of the Sun Pirates and the first Captain Fisher Tiger died, he took over the banner of the Sun Pirates and began to assume the responsibility of defending the Fishman Island. It's just that at that time, Murloc Island itself had a great grievance with the Tianlong people of the world government, so when the powerful Fisher Tiger died, the Tianlong people, the ruler of the world, asked the Navy to come forward to wipe out the Murloc people. And after the opening of the Great Pirate Era, many navies or pirates who passed by here also began to carry out large-scale kidnapping and plundering of the merlocks and mermaids on the island. At this time, because young female mermaids can be sold at high prices in human trafficking, they are favored by the world. At that time, Jinbei, who was not as powerful as Fisher Tiger at all, finally decided to bow his head to the extremely powerful Whitebeard pirates who had dominated the New World for many years in order to keep the entire Murlocs. In the end, Murloc Island became a subsidiary of the Whitebeard pirates, and at the same time it was officially protected by the Whitebeard pirates. However, after the world government heard the news, they finally weighed the pros and cons and decided to abandon the plan to encircle and suppress Fishman Island. After all, the Whitebeard pirates at that time were already known as the most powerful pirate group in the world, and their captain Edward Newgate was recognized as the strongest man in the world after Roger's death. Therefore, the world government is unwilling to start a full-scale war with the Whitebeard pirates for such an island. Now that the Sun Pirates are under great threat, he had to send a distress signal to Edward Newgate again. But this time, Edward Newgate actually only planned to send a captain to rescue him. In the main group of the Whitebeard pirates, there are a total of 16 subunits, and each subunit has a subunit leader. Among them, the most powerful one is the captain of the first team, Marco, who is known as the Phoenix. If he wants to come here in person, then it seems that he still has the strength to fight. It's a foil. What? The captain of the fifth team, Vista. Hearing this nickname, Jinbei immediately thought of the man with the curvy beard on his face. Yes, he has fought with Edward Newgate for many years, and his strength should not be too bad. When the time comes and the strength of our Murloc Island is added, the Chinchuan pirates must be no match for us. Aladdin explained. No matter what, don't take it lightly, pass on my order, and all personnel must be fully prepared for battle at all times. This battle is only allowed to win, not to lose, Jinping said seriously. At this time, the West Sea, which is also located in the first half of the Great Route. On the deck of a large ship with a giant banner featuring leader Mariah's fiery hairdo and a pair of flaming bat-wing skulls, with a front door shaped like a giant mouth. One of the 7 marshals sees under the king, and also very likely to be Qin Chuan's next attack target pirate, Moonlight Moria is looking at the endless sea level ahead. Report to the master, everything is ready, as long as they dare to step into the Sea of Mist, we will definitely defeat them by then. At this time, a gorgeously dressed man with long hair, ball-shaped earrings on both ears, a shirt and trousers, a coat with a high collar and long windbreaker, and boots, with a nose, mouth and jaw in the shape of a lion. The man was standing next to him with a serious look for a year to report. And he is Moonlight Mariah's subordinate, Absalom, one of the 3 monsters of the terrifying 3-masted sailing ship, and also the guy in this pirate group who is second only to the Captain Moonlight Mariah in strength. Now the whole world thinks we are soft persimmons, even Doflamingo looks down on me, but it doesn't matter, as long as they dare to set foot on the West Sea, I will let them be buried here. At that time, I will be able to step on the heads of other kings Shichibukai, he. Quote. After Moonlight Moria finished speaking, the corners of his mouth curled up, and at the same time, he let out bursts of weird smiles. This eerie laughter was very eerie in the dense fog. In a tavern in the Chambord Islands, the red-haired pirates and others were sitting on chairs drinking beer. Captain Shanks, is this the end of the matter? Our ship has not been snatched back yet. If we just go to the waters of the New World like this, I am afraid that the majesty of our red-haired pirates will be completely lost in the future. In addition, according to gossip, the world government itself is going to list you as Edward Newgate of the Whitebeard Pirates, Kaido of the Beast Pirates, and Charlotte of the Big Mom Pirates. Ling Ling was listed as the 4 emperors at sea, but now we are actually defeated by such a little-known kid. So this title is naturally impossible. Quote, at this time, Lakilu was dissatisfied while eating the meat on his hand. During this period of time, except for Shanks, the rest of the red-haired pirates were too depressed. Originally, before this, they had already established their reputation completely, and at the same time, they also rose rapidly all over the world. But I don't know what happened. First, Captain Shanks lost an arm for no reason in Donghai Windmill Town, which already caused an uproar. At the same time, the outside world is also questioning whether Shanks' strength has been damaged. Immediately afterwards, a spearhead boy appeared from nowhere, first blew up the deep-sea prison, and then ran over to snatch their main battleship, the Red Fourth. At this moment, the reputation of the entire red-haired pirates dropped to an all-time low in an instant. And the outside world has already rumored that Shanks' strength has been greatly reduced, so many pirates who have enemies with them in the New World have also said that if they dare to set foot in the New World again, they will be completely buried in the sea. But even so, as the captain, Shanks didn't have any intention of regaining his position, but instead brought a large force to the Chambord Islands. Obviously, they are going to coast here this time, and then return to the sea area of the New World from the subsea tunnel in Murloc Island. But in this way, it means that the red-haired pirates were completely defeated by the Chinchuan pirates, and then fled back to the New World as a last resort. This is something that the crew cannot tolerate. But even though Lakey Lu kept complaining, Shanks still drank the rum in his hand calmly. And the reason why he was so calm and didn't have any thoughts of troublesome Chin Chuan, in the final analysis, was because he knew Chin Chuan's strength too well. When he fell into the illusion of the other party, although he saw through the other party's tricks at the first time. But in the end, his inner defense completely collapsed. And he is also very clear that if he really wants to confront Chin Chuan head-on now, he must first break the opponent's move. But he has no knowledge of this aspect at all, so he can only come to the Chambord Islands to find the legendary man. At this moment, a man with long curly hair, a strange white beard on his chin, silver beard and hair. Wearing glasses, a man with a straight scar over his right eye walked slowly into the tavern. After seeing this person, Shanks immediately stood up on his own initiative. At this time, the other crew members around were shocked when they saw this scene. "What's wrong, Shanks?" Seeing Shanks' sudden move, the Vice Captain Ben Beckman also pinched off the cigar in his hand and looked at him suspiciously. At the same time, the man who walked into the room had already seen the red-haired Shanks and others at first sight. Why are you here?" At this time, the man subconsciously helped his glasses frame, and then slowly opened his mouth with a calm expression. "Mr. Raleigh, I want to ask you something." When the red-haired Shanks said this name, the scene suddenly exploded. All the members of the red-haired pirates looked at the man in unison. Obviously, the name Raleigh is too shocking. After all, in the entire pirate world, there is only one man named Raleigh who can make Shanks stand up and say hello. He is the deputy captain of the Roger Pirates, Sir Baz Raleigh, nicknamed Pluto. At the beginning, Shanks was an intern in Roger Pirates, so he naturally knew Raleigh himself. In addition, in recent years, as the most prominent guy in the post-Roger era, he naturally attracted Raleigh's attention. This trip, the red-haired Shanks deliberately came to the Chambord Islands. In fact, he did not hope to enter the New World through the undersea tunnel, but to pay a personal visit and see a lot of knowledge. Even Douglas Barrett has no qualifications. He's old Riley himself. "Raleigh, these guys have been waiting for you for a long time." At this time, the bar hostess with short black hair and a good figure slowly explained to Lei Li at the door after spitting out eye circles. "And she is the owner of this bar, Sha-Chi. After Roger's death, she lived with Raleigh and opened a bar in the Chambord Islands. It's just that her main business is not to open a bar for a living, but to conduct underground intelligence transactions, so she is also called an information specialist by people in the industry." Raleigh nodded, then turned around and closed the bar door, and then walked up to Shanks and the others. At this time, everyone in the red-haired pirates except Shanks became highly nervous. Even Ben Beckman, who has seen strong winds and waves, couldn't help but put his hand on the rifle on his waist. "Relax, we are not here to find trouble, I just want to have a secret talk with Mr. Raleigh." The crew members who saw him were nervous, so Shanks had to explain. Hearing the captain's words, the other crew members relaxed their tense nerves a little. But even so, they still dare not take it lightly when facing a legendary figure like Roger. "I heard that your arm was broken, and you were trying to save a child. Is it because of this that the boat was robbed?" At this moment, Raleigh glanced at Shanks' empty left sleeve and said in a deep voice. It's just an arm, I bet it on the new era." As expected of the most popular captain of the red-haired pirates recently, even though he is missing an arm, he still has the confidence to speak. "But what do you want to talk to me about today? Can you take a step to speak?" The main reason why Shanks wanted to have a secret talk with Rayleigh was not because he was afraid of losing face in front of the crew, but because he didn't want them to cause unnecessary panic. Come into the house with me. Besides, Shachi, prepare a good meal tonight. I want to treat the intern on the ship well. After Raleigh finished talking to Shachi, he took Shanks directly into a small room at the back of the tavern. After entering the room, Shanks had a showdown and said, "Mr. Raleigh, do you understand illusions?" Illusion. Hearing this term, Raleigh couldn't help frowning slightly. That's right, that guy actually knows how to use illusion. When I fought against him, he created an extremely real virtual world. In that world, I don't have any ability to resist, even if I am domineering, I can't use it at all. But he can abuse me as he pleases in this world. Quote, even though it has been out of combat for many days, Shanks still has lingering fears when talking about this past event again. So powerful, but if it's an illusion, then you just have to treat it as an illusion. That's what I thought at first, but it's such a magical world that I can really feel the pain. Another very important point is that he can create some people and things deep in my heart. Quote, Shanks did not point out what terrible situation he encountered at the time, because there was a secret agreement between him and Wulaoshing. Even in the face of Rayleigh, it is impossible for him to leak this matter. And in fact, it was Qin Chuan who created the illusion of the 5 old stars that caused Shanks to completely collapse. He didn't think that the 5 old stars really existed, but he was shocked that even the rest of the crew didn't know about it. But why does a kid who has never met and has always been unknown know the connection between him and Wulaoshing? So this is the fundamental reason that caused him to collapse completely in an instant, and he was completely powerless to fight when he returned to reality. Are you saying that he created people and things that only you or a very small number of people know, and borrowed these people and things to deal with you, causing you to have a mental breakdown? Hearing this, Raleigh showed a strange look on his face. Apparently, he didn't expect that Qin Chuan had such extraordinary abilities. And most importantly, that guy has shown such amazing strength at such a young age. If he is allowed to grow up in the future, he will probably become the scariest character in the era of great pirates. That's right, that's why I came here to ask you, what kind of devil fruit ability has such an ability, or is there anyone who specializes in practicing this kind of illusion? I'm afraid it's not as simple as a devil fruit, and in my opinion, he may not have seen your true inner thoughts. At this time, after a moment of silence, Rayleigh suddenly spoke. What? Didn't pry into my heart, so how do you know everything about me? Shanks asked, puzzled. Maybe all of this is just a scene imagined by yourself, and he just guided it a little, and you presented all these things through your own imagination. Impossible, he is obviously also in this illusion, and he said those words to me himself. Shanks denied it. Obviously, he did not agree with Raleigh's point of view. I think that even he is a product of your own imagination, that is to say, the entire illusion is created by you from beginning to end. Raleigh analyzed again. After hearing Rayleigh's explanation, Shanks finally felt a little shaken. If it's true according to what you said, then do you have any way to break his move? Shanks asked. I don't have one for the time being, but based on my other experiences in the past, it is impossible for this illusion to be activated casually. Otherwise, wouldn't he be invincible? It's also important to note that if he's performing an illusion on you, he must have his full attention on you. And at this time, if someone took the initiative to attack him from the side, maybe the illusion would be destroyed by itself. Quote, Rayleigh is worthy of being the king of Pluto. Although he has never seen Qin Chuan, nor experienced the power of month reading, he can guess the crux of the problem based on Shanks' one-sided words. Although his previous guess was not accurate, it did not prevent him from finding the flaw in the monthly reading. At this time, Shanks' eyes suddenly lit up, and then his face sank instantly. Mr. Raleigh, thank you very much, but I still don't understand one thing. Why are you willing to stay in such a small tavern? According to your strength and experience, if you want to come out of the rivers and lakes again, you will definitely have a place in the sea of the New World. Quote, Shanks asked again. I am old, this is already your era, and more importantly, there are no people or things that interest me. So instead of this, I might as well just stay here and enjoy my old age. Rayleigh laughed. Then Qin Chuan can't make you interested. That guy has subdued another King Chi Wuhai today. His current momentum is even stronger than those 3 guys in the New World. Quote. Him. I'll meet him, and then I can try his depth. At this time, Rayleigh suddenly narrowed his eyes and showed a signature smile at the same time. Hearing this, Shanks was taken aback for a moment. Unexpectedly, Rayleigh could predict that he was going to meet Chin Chuan. And meanwhile, on board the Red Fourth, Bartolomeo has been pestering Boa Hancock. Hancock, what do you think of me? Roll. In the face of Bartolomeo's entanglement, Boa Hancock just looked into the distance calmly, and at the same time said such a word in his mouth. Oh, I have a personality, I like it, how about we date? Seeing Boa Hancock treat him like this, instead of getting angry, Bartolomeo became even more excited. Does that evil pen have a tendency to be abused? Also, Captain, do you really think this person is of great help to our pirate group? At this time, Douglas Barrett on the deck not far away asked. Although he has also seen Bartolomeo's strength, but now he also learned about the weakness of Bartolomeo's devil fruit ability from Chin Chuan. And since he knew the opponent's weakness, he didn't value Bartolomeo so much. Hehe, do you know why I gathered all of you here? Chin Chuan didn't answer this question directly, but instead asked directly. Because we are capable and can help you. Douglas Barrett replied without hesitation. Wrong, because your background is clean, so I can feel at ease when I recruit. In this world, there are many powerful pirates, but they have other forces behind them. And I not only want to create a pirate group, I also want to create my own pirate group. Although that guy's strength is mediocre, and he is still very young and frivolous, he is still quite loyal, so I will be more at ease in using such a person. As for the strength, I don't particularly care, because in the real decisive battle, all of you will only help me spread the firepower, that's all. Quote. Chin Chuan told the truth without mercy. And after he said that everyone could only help him disperse the firepower, even Shaw Crocodile beside him couldn't help frowning. Obviously, until now, Chin Chuan has not really recognized their strength. This can't help but make them very unhappy. But at this moment, there was a sudden commotion on the side. At this time, I saw that Bartolomeo was still pestering Boa Hancock nagging. But the next moment, Boa Hancock suddenly smiled at him. And this smile also made Bartolomeo think that the other party was finally willing to chat with him, so he completely relaxed his vigilance. After all, both of them are on the same boat now, and it is impossible for the other party to do anything to him. But he miscalculated. Go to hell, fragrant feet. At this moment, Boa Hancock suddenly raised his right foot and kicked Bartolomeo. But Bartolomeo would not have thought that the other party would make a sudden move, and he was shocked immediately. But when he tried to dodge, Boa Hancock's foot kicked him hard in the stomach. The next moment, his body instantly turned into a petrified state. Immediately afterwards, the whole person flew directly overboard, and then fell into the vast sea with a plop. After seeing this scene, Chin Chuan and others were completely stunned. Because Bartolomeo is a devil fruit capable person, and a devil fruit capable person can't swim at all. Seeing this scene, Douglas Barrett immediately shouted, "Are you crazy? He is a devil fruit user." I know, so what? Even in the face of the famous Douglas Barrett, Boa Hancock still didn't show any fear, but still replied in a calm tone. Chapter 71. All the people on this boat are devil fruit capable users, how can we save people now? At the same time, Shaw Crocodile on the side also sank. On this boat, everyone is a devil fruit capable user, that is to say, at this juncture, no one can go to the sea to save people. And Bartolomeo has already sunk into the sea, at this time there is no other way but to jump down to catch him. Seeing that Boa Hancock was really murderous, Chin Chuan's face turned cold. Obviously, it's okay for her to abuse Bartolomeo, but she actually wanted to kill him, which violated Chin Chuan's bottom line. But at this time, Chin Chuan didn't have time to talk nonsense with her. Bartolomeo himself chose it himself, and he took the risk of being surrounded by the navy, so he naturally couldn't let Bartolomeo dies. Thinking of this, Chin Chuan suddenly ran towards the direction where Bartolomeo fell into the water, and then jumped straight into the sea. Seeing this scene, the other 3 people on the deck were shocked. Maid, if something happens to Captain Chin Chuan, you don't want to leave this ship alive today. Douglas Barrett looked at Boa Hancock angrily and scolded. Obviously, at this time, he has completely regarded Chin Chuan as his captain. And he still doesn't know whether Chin Chuan is a devil fruit capable user. If so, Chin Chuan will not only fail to catch anyone, but will also lose his life because of it. More importantly, although he is powerful, at this moment, he is powerless. After being scolded, Boa Hancock also showed a hint of worry on his face. She did want to kill Bartolomeo just now, but she had no intention of letting Chin Chuan die. Now that he has officially abdicated, he has also announced that he has joined the Chinchuan pirates. If Chin Chuan died at this time, it would be absolutely impossible for him to be appointed and trusted by the world government again. So now she is a little flustered. But when the three were at a loss, a huge splash suddenly appeared on the water. The next moment, Chin Chuan dragged the petrified Bartolomeo out of the water. Grass, Lao Sha, quickly throw a sand rope down. After struggling to surface the writing, Chin Chuan immediately yelled at Sha Crocodile above. And Sha Crocodile also immediately threw down the same sand rope that trapped the Sea King before. When the sand rope reached Chin Chuan, he grabbed it. Immediately afterwards, Sha Crocodile on top exerted his strength, and then Chin Chuan and the stone-like Bartolomeo rushed out of the water and returned to the deck of the ship. After boarding the boat, Chin Chuan couldn't help but gasp for breath. Going into the sea to save people is a physical task, and one can imagine how difficult it is to save a guy who has been completely petrified. He almost couldn't bear to give up halfway, but fortunately he persisted in the end. At this time, Boa Hancock also hurried over, apologizing on his face. "Captain, I'm sorry, I was just impulsive just now." She also knew that she had caused a catastrophe this time, so she quickly bowed her head and admitted her mistake. "Get rid of him, and if anyone dares to kill his companions in the future, I will not give him a second chance. In addition, this ship will dock at the port of Illusia in the West Sea tomorrow. I will not embarrass anyone who does not want to stay and leave. But next time if we meet outside again, don't blame me for not missing the old relationship." Quote. Chin Chuan looked at the others with cold eyes and said in a deep voice. After hearing Chin Chuan's threat, the other people felt chills in their backs. Obviously, they knew that Chin Chuan had this ability and was able to do this kind of thing. After Chin Chuan finished speaking in a cold voice, he got up, left the deck, and returned to his room to change and wash clothes. And Boa Hancock quickly released Bartolomeo from being petrified. After the state was lifted, Bartolomeo suddenly felt a burning pain in his lower abdomen. At that time, he was petrified instantly after being kicked by Boa Hancock, so naturally he didn't feel any pain. Now that the petrified state was lifted, the pain was transmitted to his cerebral cortex again through the nerves. "Ah, it hurts." Bartolomeo couldn't help complaining, and at the same time looked at Boa Hancock with resentful eyes. "Both of you, be honest with me from now on. If there is any trouble, I don't mind killing you before the captain drives you off the ship." At this moment, Douglas Barrett, who couldn't bear it anymore, directly yelled at the two people in front of him. Among these few people, even if everyone joins hands, his strength is not inferior to them, so when Chin Chuan is not around, he seems to be the leader of these people. Seeing that Douglas Barrett was already angry, and what happened just now, the two parties in front of him fell silent. But at this moment, Sha Crocodile, who had been silent on the side, suddenly spoke. "Let's not talk about this first. I didn't expect that Captain Chin Chuan is not a devil fruit ability user. This is really beyond my expectation. Where did he get his strength? Can human beings really gain some power beyond the ability of devil fruit by virtue of their acquired efforts?" Quote. After hearing Sha Crocodile's words, everyone remembered that it was Chin Chuan who jumped into the water and rescued Bartolomeo just now, which means that Chin Chuan must not have eaten the devil fruit. After all, in this world, the only people who can enter the water after eating a devil fruit are murlocs or mermaids. And Chin Chuan didn't have any of their characteristics at all, so this situation was naturally excluded by everyone. Now, everyone didn't bother to quarrel anymore, and all their attention was on guessing Chin Chuan's background. But even though everyone discussed on the deck for a long time, there was still no result in the end. Because although this world is very big, if there is a really powerful force, then no matter how much it is hidden, it is impossible for there to be no news at all. And the few of them are famous people who know a thing or two about everything in this world, so if Qin Chuan belongs to any force, then they must know a thing or two. Forget it, don't guess too much. Captain Qin Chuan said it before, and when the time is right, he will naturally tell us. In the next few days, everyone really didn't have any extra problems. Knowing that he had done something wrong, Bartolomeo became much more obedient, and Boa Hancock would take the initiative to chat with Qin Chuan from time to time. However, the content of her chat with Qin Chuan was all about how to go in the future. Time passed, and the five finally arrived at the largest port in the West Sea, the port of Illusia. Here, there is the largest and most prosperous city in the West Sea, the town of Illusia. And the most prosperous place means more danger. Although this Illusian town also has a navy station there, just like Rog Town in the East China Sea, the naval organization here also belongs to a branch. And the biggest general in the branch is only the chief of the branch. A captain of the navy branch can handle some pirates with millions or tens of millions. If they are facing big pirates like Shaw Crocodile who have thousands or even hundreds of millions of bounties, they will like ants. But fortunately, as the most prosperous city in the West Sea, Illusia City will naturally be taken care of by the world government and navy. So under normal circumstances, there will be no pirates who don't have eyesight thinking of coming here to make trouble. When the ship docked, everyone jumped off the Red Fourth immediately. After sailing at sea for several days, everyone was naturally a little bored, so this time, after landing, they went directly to one of the busiest restaurants in this town and sat down. It has to be said that the prosperity of the West Sea is unmatched by the East China Sea, and it is no wonder that the pirates in the West Sea are obviously stronger than the East China Sea. Just looking at the interior structure of this restaurant, you can know the level of luxury here. After everyone walked into the restaurant, they found that the roof of the restaurant was high, the space was wide, and the magnificent and exquisite chandeliers hung in midair. The seats were decorated with ancient clocks, and the leather seats and dark wood elements added to the atmosphere of the restaurant. Presents a gorgeous and luxurious atmosphere. Qin Chuan glanced around and found that although there were many people sitting here, they were basically ordinary people in suits and leather shoes. There is no such thing as a guy who looks like a pirate at first glance. Maybe it's because the prices here are too expensive, or maybe it's because the pirates are embarrassed to come to this kind of place to eat, so there aren't any strange people here. At this moment, a restaurant waiter walked over immediately. "Everyone, do you want to eat here?" "Well, 5 people, let's lead the way." Qin Chuan replied lightly. "Well, there is just one big table left in our shop, please follow me." After the waiter finished speaking, he was ready to lead everyone to a large round table on one side. But at this moment, there was a noise from the entrance and exit of the restaurant behind them. Qin Chuan and others looked back and saw a group of men in black suits and sunglasses entering the hall one after another. The next moment, a short mafia-like man in a hat and scarf, a straight striped suit, and a cigar in his mouth slowly walked into the hall. After seeing this person, Qin Chuan was taken aback for a moment. "I didn't expect to meet this guy here, it seems that things are getting more and more interesting." Qin Chuan snorted coldly in his heart. This man is the captain of the Flame Tank Pirates, one of the 11 supernovas, who landed in the Chambord Islands before the big event, Capone Becky. Although his bounty wasn't very high back then, it was over 100 million, so he still had some strength. It's just that Capone Becky is not that famous at this time, but after looking at the lineup behind him, it is obvious that he should be doing well here. Sure enough, when he walked into the hall, the atmosphere suddenly became serious. At this time, many guests have already started to bow their heads and start talking. Obviously, this Capone Becky still has a certain weight in their hearts. Immediately afterwards, a lobby manager who seemed to be a restaurant rushed up to him, and then said respectfully, "Mr. Capone Becky, are you here for dinner?" Hearing the other party's question, Capone Becky not only didn't smile, but turned around and glared at the manager. The next moment, he actually lifted his foot and kicked the opponent directly in the stomach. There was a bang. The manager was kicked directly onto the high-end wooden floor. "Aren't you talking nonsense? I don't eat when I come in, so I'm still here to discuss business. Hurry up and lead the way," Capone Becky said coldly with a look of disgust. Even though he was kicked, the lobby manager still endured the severe pain and got up, and then flattered again, "I'm sorry, please follow me." Immediately afterwards, he quickly turned around and looked around for an empty seat. At this moment, he saw the empty seat in front of Chin Chuan and others. Afterwards, he quickly walked towards Chin Chuan and the others. After seeing this scene, everyone frowned slightly. Obviously, the opponent wanted to occupy the vacant seat they had just obtained. Sure enough, when the lobby manager came over, he immediately said, "I'm sorry, everyone, this table has been reserved in advance. We are already fully booked today. Please come here earlier next time." At this time, Boa Hancock had even sat down. After hearing what the manager said, Boa Hancock gave him a cold look. But even if the other party spoke, Boa Hancock didn't have any intention of getting up. Moreover, Chin Chuan and others also stood there motionless. "Everyone, I have made it very clear to you just now, this table has already been taken." Seeing these few people who were still kind-faced remained motionless, the lobby manager became a little displeased, and his tone became more serious. "When we came here just now, the waiter didn't tell us that this table was occupied. Why did you come over and tell me that this table was reserved by someone else just after we sat down?" In a bustling city like Shihai, Chin Chuan didn't want to make trouble everywhere. After all, he has an agreement with the world government right now. He can make trouble on Daughter's Island, and he can defeat other kings Chiwahai. But if there is still a big fight on the territory of the world government like Rog Town, it will definitely discredit the world government and the navy. This clearly shows that if you don't give others face, they will naturally not give you a good face. So at this time, Chin Chuan also spoke calmly at the first moment. Seeing Chin Chuan speak up, even Douglas Barrett, who was about to make a move, endured it. In fact, to be serious, no one sitting here is someone to provoke. If Chin Chuan didn't take the initiative to speak up, maybe they would have turned the restaurant upside down long ago. That's because the waiter is ignorant, he remembered wrongly. "You guys leave quickly." Before the lobby manager had finished speaking, he suddenly threw himself towards the other side in front of him. And it was Capone Becky himself who kicked him again. "Mother-in-law, it seems that you don't want to live anymore." After kicking the opponent, Capone Becky was still puzzled, so he simply took out his pistol and pointed it at the opponent. Seeing this scene, the lobby manager was so frightened that his legs went limp. Dang even got up quickly and knelt down to beg for mercy. "Hey, do you want to make trouble?" At this moment, Chin Chuan looked at Capone Becky and asked calmly. And this Capone Becky didn't notice Chin Chuan and his group until then. When he turned his head to look at Chin Chuan, his originally stern face suddenly froze. Then he glanced at the people around Chin Chuan again. Douglas Barrett, Sandy Crocodile, Boa Hancock are all here. And there is only one person who can gather so many big pirates, and that is Chin Chuan, who has recently become famous and is said to be negotiating with the world government. Seeing that he had actually provoked the Chinchuan pirates, Capone Becky swallowed, not knowing how to resolve the deadlock for a while. But before he could speak, a man behind him couldn't help but rushed up. "Father, stop talking to these guys, let me kill them with one shot, so that they will know how powerful our flame tank pirates are." I saw that this man who was also wearing a suit was about to take out the pistol on his waist and aim at Chin Chuan and others. But before he raised his pistol, Capone Becky on the side quickly raised his pistol and shot at the young man who called him "father" just now. With a bang, gunshots rang through the entire restaurant immediately. At the same time, everyone on the scene was shocked by this scene. Even the few people on Chin Chuan's side were shocked when they saw that the other party shot and killed the man who seemed to be his son without hesitation. "Hey, I'm asking you something, Capone Becky." But Chin Chuan, who had known for a long time that Capone Becky was not a kind-hearted person, spoke lightly again. This time, he not only questioned the other party again, but even called out the other party's name. Are you the Chinchuan pirates?" After hearing Chin Chuan's words, Capone Becky immediately asked with an embarrassed expression. After hearing these words from Capone Becky, the people behind him who were still surprised were even more shocked. Many people took a few steps back subconsciously, trying to distance themselves from Capone Becky. "Eating a Superman-type strong city devil fruit, you don't know what your last name is." After seeing Capone Becky hesitating, Qin Chuan choked again. Although this guy's strength is not bad, but in Qin Chuan's eyes, it is not worth mentioning at all. I'm sorry, I'm blind, I'll leave immediately. Since this period of time, Qin Chuan's name has been heard like thunder, and he is the one who wants to be the king of Chihuahua. Naturally, it is impossible for him, Capone Becky, to fight head-on with the opponent here. So after bowing his head and saying these words, Capone Becky was about to turn around and leave. But at this moment, Qin Chuan stopped him again. Wait, do I let you go? Hearing that the other party wanted to turn around and leave, Qin Chuan immediately stopped him again. Anything else? Capone Becky turned around and asked cautiously. You are ruthless, and you usually like to take the heads of your enemies, so I am worried that after today you will think of revenge on me. How about this, you use a pistol to cripple your right hand, and then take your people and get out. Quote. Originally, Qin Chuan didn't intend to make trouble, but since Capone Becky had already provoked him, it was naturally impossible for him to let him go casually. First of all, it is time for him to build momentum, and his every move in the public will be noticed and magnified by outsiders. In addition, Capone Becky himself is a vicious person, even if it is his own son, he will kill without hesitation. So he will definitely try to find a way to get back after he goes back. And Qin Chuan is not a good opponent, so naturally it is impossible to let the other party go easily. Hearing that Qin Chuan wanted to cut off his own arm, Capone Becky's face instantly became ugly. Although he is a ruthless person, he has no self-abuse tendencies, and it is absolutely impossible for him to shoot himself. Can we still discuss it? Anyway, I still have a good side here in Shihai. If things really get serious, it will not end well for everyone. And I know what the purpose of your trip is. If you do something here, I'm afraid someone will immediately be vigilant and take all defensive measures in advance. At that time, won't you lose more than you gain? Quote. Capone Becky deserves to be the boss of the gangster. Although Bartolomeo is also a gangster figure, the difference in character and means between the two is too far. Bartolomeo completely relied on his own force to clear the way to conquer other people, while Capone Becky relied on force and extraordinary wisdom to lead the underworld in the entire town of Illusia. Snapped. As soon as he said this, Qin Chuan simply slapped him across the face, and then snorted coldly. What qualifications do you have to negotiate terms with me? Letting you lose one of your hands is already giving you face, understand? The person Capone Becky mentioned naturally refers to Moonlight Mariah, one of the 7 warriors under the king. It's just that at this time, anyone with a brain knows that his body must be Moonlight Mariah, so it doesn't matter to him whether to startle the snake or not. What's more, if he wants to deal with a mere Moonlight Mariah and hide-and-play tactics, then he is an ass. In addition, he didn't have any good feelings for Capone Becky. Although both of them are pirates, there are still essential differences between pirates. This Capone Becky likes to bully some ordinary people. Just take the example just now, thinking of killing people without moving, which is very disdainful in Qin Chuan's eyes. So Qin Chuan also wanted to eradicate some disgusting guys for this pirate world. After being slapped in public, 5 fingerprints instantly appeared on Capone Becky's face. At this time, even though he knew that there was a significant gap in strength between him and the opponent, he still couldn't swallow this breath. Besides, the other party still wouldn't let him go just yet, so he broke his heart and simply lifted his suit jacket with both hands. After seeing this scene, Qin Chuan knew that the other party was about to start using the Devil Fruit ability. Qin Chuan was also very aware of his Devil Fruit ability, and Deng even murmured to himself after a quick thought. Ding, the host successfully used the Terumi Mei character card, and the number of possessions used -1. The next moment, without waiting for other people to react, Capone Becky suddenly shouted, "Castle full size, big boss." Immediately afterwards, everyone's eyes went dark, and then they appeared on a stone slab. At the same time, all his subordinates also appeared in front of Qin Chuan and others. This sudden change also scared several other members of the Qinchuan pirates. This is how the same thing. This time, Bartolomeo took the lead in asking questions. "This is a castle, we are all trapped here now," Qin Chuan said lightly after looking at the men in black in front of him. "What? How could we appear in this castle? After hearing Chin Chuan's words, Boya Hancock beside him couldn't help saying in surprise. At the same time, even the well-informed Shaw Crocodile and Douglas Barrett could not help but look at Chin Chuan with a slight frown. This is about his devil fruit. His devil fruit is a superhuman strong city fruit, which can house everything, including himself, in his body, like a castle. And the objects that enter his body will all become smaller, and will return to their original shape after leaving the scope of his ability. Quote, HMPH, it's wishful thinking to think that a mere wall can trap us. After listening to Chin Chuan's explanation, Shaw Crocodile dismissed it. At the same time, the men in black in front seemed to have received the order from Capone Becky, who did not come in, and Dang even took out their pistols and shot at Chin Chuan and others. Bang, bang, bang. While they were still chatting, dozens of bullets were fired at high speed. But even in the face of these bullets, Chin Chuan and others stood there motionless as if they didn't hear anything. When these bullets were about to hit them, a transparent barrier wall appeared in front of them. Clang, clang, clang. These bullets made the sound of metal collision immediately after hitting the transparent barrier wall. Then they quickly fell to the ground. And the group of people in black in front were also taken aback when they saw the transparent barrier wall in front of them, and then thought of making another move. But at this moment, Bartolomeo, who had already made the common's fingers gesture, snorted softly. Barrier, bull run. The next moment, Bartolomeo used the transparent barrier that blocked the bend in front of him to push forward at a high speed. And this transparent barrier sprints forward like a bulldozer. After seeing this scene, how dare these men in black stay where they are? They don't have any devil fruit abilities, at best they are gangsters. So in the face of some powerful pirates, there is no way to fight back. Now that they saw the other party attacking them, they could only start to run around. However, the speed of the transparent barrier was too fast, rushing towards them like a raging bull in no time. Boom! After a loud noise, the transparent barrier instantly pushed all the men in black standing in front of Chin Chuan and others into the air. Then, these men in black fell to the ground like rain. There is no need to guess too much, these people must have become corpses. But just when everyone thought that they could easily escape from the castle, the structure of the castle suddenly changed dramatically. The next moment, some muddy liquid began to seep from the originally solid floor. At the same time, the feet of Chin Chuan and others were caught in it immediately and could not move. What happened? Seeing this scene, Bartolomeo was taken aback. This is his special devil fruit move. Castle Swamp. He uses his devil fruit ability to dominate the castle structure in his body, turning it into a swamp to torture everyone trapped in his body. Quote. At this time, Chin Chuan reminded in a cold voice. Even if I use the armed color domineering, my legs can't get rid of the muddy ground. Douglas Barrett said helplessly after trying it out. Immediately afterwards, Shaw Crocodile, Boya Hancock and others also used their own moves to try to escape, but they all failed. Not only that, but green viscous liquid began to seep from the surrounding walls. Obviously, Capone Becky wanted them to be completely trapped here. Seeing this scene, Chin Chuan snorted coldly. Small skills, you are not qualified to kill us. Boiling escape skill of mist. The next moment, a boiling high-heat mist spewed out from Chin Chuan's mouth. The mist immediately touched the green viscous liquid seeping from the wall. Immediately afterwards, the liquid was swallowed by the mist in an instant. At the same time, the mist approached the iron wall ahead. When the hot mist touched the walls of the castle, it actually evaporated and melted the hard walls in the first place. This scene also completely stunned several other people. Except for Shaw Crocodile and Douglas Barrett, who had already seen Chin Chuan's move in Alabasta, the other two had never seen Chin Chuan's terrifying strength. Immediately, they all looked at Chin Chuan in surprise. After all, the iron wall can be corrupted by relying on the mist, which shows that this is not an ordinary mist. Recalling that Chin Chuan does not have the devil fruit ability, that is to say, the mist spit out from his mouth can be stored in his body intact. Now everyone is even more curious about Chin Chuan. Not only were they taken aback, but Capone Becky, who was watching everything outside all the time, was also taken aback. Immediately afterwards, he had to close the castle, and at the same time released Chin Chuan and others. But although everyone returned to reality, because Capone Becky had already turned on the fortress mode before this extremely luxurious restaurant has been reduced to ruins. Not only that, a large number of onlookers have appeared around, among them are some soldiers wearing white navy uniforms. However, at this juncture, these young people did not dare to step forward to stop the war. They must have notified the headquarters at the first time, and now they are waiting for reinforcements to arrive. At the same time, on the frontal battlefield, Capone Becky's body has weakened a lot. The castle just now is actually a part of its body, but after being melted and corroded by the mist of Qin Chuan, his body has already suffered great damage. Die to me. Water escape mist concealment technique. Immediately afterwards, Qin Chuan spit out a large amount of thick fog from his mouth again. The thick fog made the surrounding environment blurred, and even several teammates on his side were all shrouded in it for a while. And Shah Crocodile originally wanted to blow it away through the desert storm at the first time, but he suddenly thought that this thing was deliberately made by Qin Chuan to deal with the enemy. Wouldn't it be bad if he wanted to blow away the dense fog? Did he do something good? Thinking of this, he had no choice but to use his armed arrogance to guard against the sudden danger. At the same time, Douglas Barrett and Boa Hancock, who were armed and domineering in Yongyang, also used their armed domineering immediately. But Bartolomeo, who didn't have the domineering blessing of armed color, simply used his classic gestures, and then trapped himself in the transparent barrier ball. He also came up with this move on a whim at the beginning. In a dangerous moment, as long as he locked himself in, he could avoid the fatal attack. On the other hand, on Capone Becky's side, when the thick fog shrouded him, he also began to panic. Originally, he was a person who relied heavily on devil fruit abilities, but now his devil fruit moves are completely useless against the opponent, so what can he use to fight the opponent? Thinking of this, Capone Becky already had the idea of running away, and Dang even took advantage of the thick fog and started to flee in one of the directions casually. But he had just walked 2 steps, and suddenly felt a phantom flashing by beside him. Startled, Capone Becky stopped immediately, then took out his pistol and aimed in one of the directions. But when he was about to fire a blind shot, a jet of water in the shape of a water dragon roared towards his face. Boom! After a muffled sound, Capone Becky quickly fell backwards. At the same time, the dense fog completely dissipated. At this time, everyone saw Qin Chuan standing in place and Capone Becky lying in the distance. Seeing this scene, Shah Crocodile had a feeling of déjà vu. Even if Qin Chuan used the same move in front of him for the second time, he still couldn't think of a way to deal with Qin Chuan. At this moment, Capone Becky only felt that his internal organs were churning in his body, and the severe pain made him unable to even breathe. At this moment, Qin Chuan finally received a long-lost system voice. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully defeating the enemy. You have received a total of 15,000 reputation rewards this time. This time, Qin Chuan only received 15,000 reputation points, which was within his expectation. After all, the other party did not become a supernova until several years later, and now he is at best a gangster with devil fruit ability. And his strength is not far behind Bartolomeo, so it is even more impossible for his reputation to be much higher. When the system sound popped out, Qin Chuan knew that Capone Becky on the opposite side must have completely lost his fighting power. At this moment, the local naval forces finally arrived too late. When the leader, a middle-aged man in a navy coat, took a breath when he saw Qin Chuan and the others and Capone Becky lying on the ground. When he learned that the leader of the Qinchuan pirates was Shihai, he always prayed that he would not meet him. After all, my identity represents the navy. If I really encounter trouble with the other party, should I take care of it or not? If he didn't care, he would definitely be easily defeated, and his life might even be in danger. You must know that Smoker, who had the ability of a natural devil fruit, was beaten to death by Qin Chuan and others. And it was later that the admiral arrived at the scene in time, otherwise Smoker would not have had the chance to be promoted to rear admiral. I am here in the West Sea now, and I have a few days' voyage away from the marine headquarters of the Navy. If I really want to do something today, I will definitely die. But if I don't care about it, if I spread the word, wouldn't I lose face for the Navy and myself? You must know that reporters have already appeared on the scene, so you must be very cautious in your every move right now. Therefore, at this juncture, he didn't know what to do for a while. At this time, Qin Chuan also saw the gathered naval soldiers, and then said lightly to them, "This guy is a well-known gangster in the local area, his name is Capone Becky. Today, when he was about to kill innocent people indiscriminately in the restaurant, I bumped into him. And I acted decisively at this time with the idea of maintaining justice, and then completely defeated him, and hoped that the Navy could capture him back and imprison him properly. And in the future, he will organize a large amount of manpower and material resources to carry out a carpet search of the entire Illusia city, and wipe out his remaining party. At the same time, this will also bring a happier and happier life to the local people." Quote. After Qin Chuan said these words, all the crowd watching and eating melons were stunned. Capone Becky and his gang were well known in the local area, but now Qin Chuan actually hurt people because of them. This can't help but make everyone have a good impression of the Qinchuan pirates. After hearing Qin Chuan's words, the admiral immediately breathed a sigh of relief. As Qin Chuan said, although he made such a big disturbance this time, it was not to provoke the world government and the Navy, but to properly eliminate harm for the people. In addition, he still has the inextricable connection with the top level of the world government, so now he has no reason to fight against him. Thinking of this, the admiral immediately stepped forward and said, "Mr. Qin Chuan, I am the local chief of security, and I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to you on behalf of all the people of Illusia. In addition, we will definitely go all out in the future to wipe out these gangsters." Quote. As soon as the admiral spoke, there was an uproar at the scene. At present, Qin Chuan is still acting as a pirate, so a naval general actually praised a pirate in front of the public, which was almost impossible in the past. And now, Qin Chuan has done it. This also means that his identity has been completely washed out in the hearts of the people here. After all, before this, all the disturbances that Qin Chuan made in other places had nothing to do with them, so naturally they would not have any hatred for Qin Chuan. The next moment, someone around suddenly applauded spontaneously. Slowly, the applause became louder and louder, and at the same time, some people began to shout the slogan, "The Qinchuan pirates are mighty." At this time, a reporter holding a microphone in the crowd took advantage of this opportunity and rushed to Qin Chuan without fear of death. At the same time, there was a man with a video camera next to him. Obviously, the other party must be a reporter. In the whole world, the newspaper reporters who are not afraid of death can only be the journalists of the World Economic News Agency. After all, the World Economic News Agency was created by Morgans, one of the giants of the dark world. Even the Navy and the world government have to give him a little face in many cases, not to mention some ordinary pirates. In addition, Qin Chuan has already been recognized by the local navy at this time, so it is even more impossible to fight them. At this time, the reporter introduced himself as soon as he rushed up. "Mr. Qin Chuan, hello, I am a reporter from the World Economic News Agency in Illusia. My name is George. Is it convenient for you to accept my interview?" "Well, yes, you can ask." Qin Chuan originally wanted to use the opportunity to promote himself and his crew, but now this is an excellent opportunity. At the same time, several other crew members also leaned forward. Now, in the camera screen, Qin Chuan stood at the front, and behind him stood the 4 crew members of the Qin Chuan pirates. "Excuse me, Mr. Qin Chuan, it is said that you escaped from the deep-sea prison, so can I think you have been a pirate so far?" As expected, George was not afraid of death, and asked such a pungent question right from the start. "You can think so," Qin Chuan replied without hesitation immediately. But hearing Qin Chuan's answer, the people behind him suddenly became uncomfortable. Obviously, this is the first time for them to say that they are pirates in front of the whole world. Then I would like to ask again, the defeat of Capone Becky you mentioned just now is for the local people, so as a pirate, what is the purpose of you doing this? Is it true that you are about to negotiate with the world government and submit to the world government as the outside world says? So now defeating Wangxia Shichibukai and these little pirates are all to clean up some of their past behaviors, and at the same time establish a good new image. Quote. Hearing this, Douglas Barrett behind him already had the urge to beat someone up. He had never been interviewed before, so he naturally didn't know that these reporters' questions were so sharp. But at this moment, he glanced at Qin Chuan, as if he felt that Qin Chuan was not angry at all, so he had no choice but to bear it. This topic is very interesting. I am a pirate in the eyes of the Navy and the world government, and a prisoner in the deep-sea prison. But I am the savior in front of all the people in the city of Alushia. This shows that I have a different role identity in everyone's mind. Although the identities are different, this does not affect us at all to do some correct things. Who said that pirates can't eradicate violence and maintain justice? The purpose of most of the pirates is only to find the legendary treasure, and it is definitely not here to burn, kill and loot. In other words, is the Navy and the world government's ass clean? What sneaky things have they done behind the scenes in the name of justice and for the people? To put it this way, I am much better than them. Quote. At this time, Qin Chuan suddenly threw out an explosive gun. After hearing Qin Chuan's words, the admiral suddenly broke out in cold sweat, and then quickly ordered the surrounding men to take Capone Becky away quickly, and then leave here. In this way, Qin Chuan has nothing to do with how he scolds the Navy and the world government here. At the same time, the reporter didn't expect Qin Chuan to say such a thing. Although his crimes are so rebellious, in the eyes of reporters, this is an explosive topic. Then do you know some scandals about the world government and the Navy? Can you briefly explain to us? Immediately afterwards, the reporter began to be seductive again, hoping that Qin Chuan would tell some more serious stories. And Qin Chuan is not a fool. He knows that this thing should not be exaggerated. If you really want to reveal all the bad things about the world government and the Navy, wouldn't the world be turned upside down? Among other things, just taking the demon slaughter order as an example is enough to arouse public outrage. So right now, Qin Chuan paused for a moment, and then slowly said, what I'm doing now is to make up for their mistakes. Shichibukai is fundamentally a wrong system, and the purpose of my trip to the West Sea is to defeat the captain of the terrifying three-masted sailing ship pirate group who is stationed in the West Sea and behaves mischievously, that is, Moonlight, one of the Shichibukai Moria. Quote. This time, Qin Chuan simply announced the matter in front of the whole world. When Qin Chuan brought up Moonlight Moria on his own initiative, the reporter's eyes lit up again. How did you know that Moonlight Moria was doing something wrong here in the West Sea? Haven't you been imprisoned for many years? As we all know, he is a shadow devil fruit-capable user, and this thing can forcibly take away other people's shadows, and the original owner who was taken away will disappear completely if exposed to sunlight, so these people can only live without seeing the sky. Day place. And this Moonlight Moria can make these shadows into so-called zombie legions. Then, he used his zombie army and the terrifying three-masted sailing ships under his command to capture passing ships, robbed a lot of gold and silver treasures, and killed many people. Whether these things are true or not, you can find out after a little inquiring, and the president of your newspaper office should also know about this matter very well. If you want to be bold, you can go back and ask Morgans if what I said is right. Quote. Hearing that Qin Chuan actually dragged Morgans into the water, George was still a little shocked. At the same time, he also knew that he couldn't get to the bottom of this matter, otherwise it would be over if his President Morgans was involved. Then, he said again, then you have exposed your target and whereabouts now, are you worried that Moonlight Moria will be fully prepared to deal with you by then? Haha, we are not people who like to sneak around, we are not afraid of shadows, so naturally we are not worried about encountering any difficulties. The only thing I am worried about now is that after the grandson learned that I was going to find him, he started to run away with his subordinates in a desperate manner. In this way, I really don't know where to find him for a while. Quote. Qin Chuan simply provoked that Moonlight Moria in front of the reporter. And with Moonlight Moria's character, it is naturally impossible for him to run away after hearing these words. After all, she had fought with Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, in Wano country, so she would never back down easily when facing Qin Chuan and others. Then, on behalf of everyone, I wish you a triumphant return this time. In addition, at the end, what else do you want to say to the camera? What I also want to say is that I will stay here for 2 days, and in the morning of the day after tomorrow, I will set off for the port of Illusia. At that time, people with lofty ideals who are willing to help our Chinchuan pirates can also gather at this port. Let us work together to overthrow the terrifying three-masted pirates who do all kinds of evil. Quote. In the end, Qin Chuan became passionate and generous. The words that were originally plain and unremarkable instantly became very contagious and shocking from his mouth. And even the famous pirates standing behind Qin Chuan were almost moved by Qin Chuan's words. After George left, Bartolomeo asked in a daze, "Boss, have we become men of justice? Hee, where is there absolute black and absolute white in this world? Everything is relative. So we can't say that we are righteous people. After all, I turned the entire deep-sea prison upside down and released such a big devil at the same time. But it doesn't matter anymore. History itself is written by the victors. Anyway, we can do things with a clear conscience." After Qin Chuan finished speaking, he took a special look at the great demon, Douglas Barrett, beside him. And Douglas Barrett pretended not to hear and looked away. "I still have a question. With our strength, we can completely overthrow Moonlight Moria and his pirate group, but why do you want to recruit helpers in front of reporters? If this spreads, won't it make others think that we are afraid of that guy?" Quote. At this time, Shah Crocodile couldn't help interjecting. After all, he is the Shichibukai under the king, so he naturally knows the details of Moonlight Moria. In fact, a long time ago, he heard that the world government was not satisfied with the strength of Moonlight Moria, and had always wanted to find a new person to replace its king Shichibukai. It's just that Moonlight Moria has always been cautious, and has always been rooted in his own 1/3 acre land in the West Sea, so he didn't give others a chance. The purpose of my doing this is not to hope that I can use external forces to help, but to use this incident to completely slam our banner. If there are really many people who are willing to come and support us, then as long as Moonlight Moria is successfully captured, it will undoubtedly deepen our influence on the world government. At the same time, it can also change the image of the few of you in front of the world. Isn't this killing two birds with one stone? Qin Chuan explained. The reason why he did this is because the reputation of the people on his ship, including him, is not very good, and if he wants to be able to influence the situation of the world in the next period of time, he needs not only a certain strength, but also to be recognized by the people. Otherwise, they would have to live in their own territory just like the four emperors. After listening to Qin Chuan's words, everyone finally understood Qin Chuan's purpose. After staying overnight in the town of Illusia, the next morning, there was another wave of discussions around the world. And this time the protagonist is still Qin Chuan and his pirate group. What is different from the past is that this time he not only made it into the newspaper, but also recorded the scene of him fighting Nakapon Becky and spread it quickly. This time, Qin Chuan's mysterious veil was finally lifted a bit. In addition, he was not too sensational in defeating the gang boss Capone Becky, but then he attacked the world government and the navy in front of people all over the world. At the same time, in his personal capacity, he called on all powerful people in Shihai to join his team in denouncing Moonlight Moria. First of all, he has already committed a big taboo in publicly criticizing the world government. In addition, he actually bypassed the Navy headquarters to recruit foreign troops. In the eyes of the senior naval officers, Qin Chuan undoubtedly wanted to use this incident to expand his force. But even so, the world government and the Navy headquarters have absolutely no intention of making any excuses. The main reason for this is that they can only suffer from boredom at this time. Now Qin Chuan is gaining power, and the destruction of Capone Becky has caused the whole world to question the capabilities of the Navy. Why has the Navy been stationed in Illusia for many years, but it has not been able to wipe out the gangsters in this town at all? And Qin Chuan had just arrived half a day before he defeated the leader of the opponent, which was a direct slap in the face of the Navy headquarters. In addition, the purpose of Qin Chuan's recruitment this time is to crusade against Moonlight Moria, and he also specifically pointed out that the opponent's long-term entrenched behavior in the West Sea is the result of the connivance of the Navy and the world government. Now if the Navy came forward and said that they did not condone each other, then he would have to explain why he had not sent troops to encircle and suppress Moonlight Moria for so many years, but instead gave him a legal identity. So Sengoku, who is the admiral of the Navy, can only sulking by himself again. I've said it a long time ago, this guy can't stay, now it's all right, and the Navy's face is no longer needed. At this time, Sakazuki was standing in front of Sengoku complaining with a displeased face. He has been a staunch advocate of war from the beginning to the end, and at the same time, he has always hoped to have the opportunity to fight against Qin Chuan again. After all, when he fought Qin Chuan for a short time, he found that Qin Chuan was not as powerful as the outside world imagined, if the subordinate next to him hadn't trapped him with a strange devil fruit ability. He is confident that he can kill it in a short time. But now everything has changed. Qin Chuan has become the hero of the people, and in the entire town of Illusia, people have begun to distrust the navy. In this way, it will be even more difficult for him to apply for encirclement and suppression of the Qinchuan pirates again. Sakazuki, now is not the time to discuss this matter. I think we should immediately order the naval branch stationed in Illusia, Zois, to immediately gather troops and merge with the Qinchuan pirates in the early morning of the next day. Let's go to the depths of the West Sea to encircle and suppress Moonlight Moria. At this time, Garp, who had been silent with his legs crossed, also spoke. What, you still want the navy to follow him? Doesn't this tell the world that he, Qin Chuan, can already ride on our heads? Hearing Karp's words, Sokolsky felt even more incredible. I think Lieutenant General Karp's proposal is very good. Now we are facing a lot of pressure. If we still wait to die at this time, it will only cause more public outrage. Now that we can't restore all this now, we will simply let the world government remove Moonlight Maria's status as Shichibukai, the king, and then we will send troops to encircle and suppress him. In this way, we can restore some image in the minds of the people of Shihai. Pelusalino on the side also interjected. Well, this proposal makes sense, Kuzan. The West Sea itself is under your jurisdiction, and you will directly issue an attack order to the naval branch stationed in Illusia as an admiral. In addition, you must tell Izias who is stationed there that this battle must be fought well, otherwise he will resign and leave. Quote. After a moment of contemplation, warring states finally made a final decision. And this time, Sokolsky lost again. HMPH, I'll have good fruit for you in the future. Sikarsky slammed the door and walked out after saying this cruel sentence. Hey, yo, this Sakazuki is getting more and more angry. It seems that Qin Chuan has completely angered him. Seeing Sokolsky's attitude, Pelusalino on the side was joking with the mentality of watching a show. You all go back, I want to talk to the 5 old stars about the delisting of Moonlight Moria. The Warring States period also issued an order to expel guests at this time. As a matter of urgency, he must persuade the 5 old stars to remove Moonlight Moria from the Shichibukai under the king in the name of the world government as soon as possible. Otherwise, the navy would definitely not be able to openly stand on Qin Chuan's side and go to the depths of the West Sea to fight. On the other side, in the terrifying 3-masted sailing ship, when Moonlight Moria saw Qin Chuan's humiliation to him in the newspaper, he was extremely angry. He was not the one who was afraid of getting into trouble. Now that Qin Chuan said that, almost all the eyes of the whole world were focused on him. In this case, if he really escaped, he would be ruined, so right now he has no way out at all. Qin Chuan, I want you to be my shadows forever. Moonlight Maria clenched the newspaper in his hand and roared towards the thick fog ahead. This cry also completely alarmed all the busy crew members on the terrifying 3-masted sailing ship. Originally, they were more stressed when facing strong enemies, but after being yelled at by Moonlight Maria, they were even more frightened and nearly lost their souls. Early the next morning, Qin Chuan and others arrived at the port of Illusia early. But when they walked to the port, they were completely dumbfounded by the scene in front of them. I saw that a large number of ships have already docked on this long and narrow coastline. There are even several warships docked beside the Red Foss. At the same time, the decks of the ships along the coast are full of people. After seeing Qin Chuan and others arriving, everyone immediately cheered like heaven. Fight against Moonlight Moria, justice will prevail. Fight against Moonlight Moria, justice will prevail. Obviously, these people were all summoned by Qin Chuan's words to go to the depths of the West Sea together. Seeing this scene, not only the others were quite shocked, but even Qin Chuan was shocked. He originally thought that when he yelled like this, at most only a very few pirate groups or non-governmental organizations who wanted to be famous would join in the fun. But now it feels like the whole of Illusia and surrounding towns have sent many people over. Not only that, the admiral who was at the scene yesterday was standing at the port with a large group of soldiers in white navy uniforms. When Qin Chuan and others came over, he took the initiative to say hello. Hello, I'm Zois, the 25th branch of the navy stationed in Illusia. Well, Why are you here this time? Qin Chuan nodded, and then asked curiously. I received a notice from my superiors that the terrifying three-masted sailing ship pirate group entrenched in the West Sea not only violated the agreement signed with the world government during this period, but also caused a great threat to the surrounding waters. So the world government issued an announcement early this morning. In the announcement, Moonlight Moria, one of the 7 kings under the sea, has been removed by the world government. Now he is no longer a king under the Shichibukai, so my branch must go to the depths of the West Sea today in the name of the Navy to fight against the terrifying three-masted sailing ship pirate group. Quote. At this moment, Iseus immediately opened his mouth to explain. After listening to Iseus' explanation, Qin Chuan nodded meaningfully. And everyone standing behind him was shocked. They were already surprised to get the support of so many people in one day, but what is even more surprising now is that the world government not only did not publicly criticize and refute Qin Chuan's slander, but simply go straight down the path of Qin Chuan. First, Moonlight Moria was quickly removed from the list, and then the Navy was blatantly sent to support Qin Chuan's actions. This is undoubtedly an announcement to the world that Qin Chuan has been recognized by the world government, and the Navy has begun to make up for the mistakes it made before. Sure enough, many news media reporters have appeared around them. Not surprisingly, these people were all called by Iseus to report on this crusade. Now that the Navy has decided to side with Qin Chuan, they naturally hope that this matter will be known to the world. After boarding the deck of the Red Fourth, looking at nearly 100 ships around him, Qin Chuan suddenly felt a feeling of holding the world in his hands. And this is the first time he has felt the temptation of power. Because of Qin Chuan's existence, in this operation, Zoe Shoes of the Navy branch completely became a foil. The 3 heavily armed naval warships he led were also quietly waiting for Qin Chuan's order. At the same time, countless camera lenses were aimed at Qin Chuan standing on the deck of the Red Foss on the shore. At this moment, it seems that the world has frozen. Then, Qin Chuan uttered a sky-shattering roar at everyone present. Let's go! Denounce the pirate Moonlight Moria. After he gave this order, there were violent cheers from the surrounding ships. The next moment, the Red Foss was the first to use the port, followed by the 3 warships that followed. This is the first time that such a large combined army has appeared in the history of Shihai. And the leader of this joint army is actually a pirate who just escaped from prison. Soon, under the leadership of Qin Chuan, the united army arrived at the periphery of the dense fog sea area in the fastest time. At this time, everyone's surroundings were completely shrouded in thick fog. Captain, the dense fog here seems to be quite similar to the moves you used to deal with me and the gang leader before. At this moment, Sha Crocodile couldn't help but speak. The purpose of his saying this was precisely to test Qin Chuan. HMPH, it's different. My dense fog is made by myself, but the dense fog here is purely natural. It probably has something to do with the terrain here. Oh, I thought it was the thick fog created by Moonlight Moria. Hearing this, Boa Hancock also suddenly became curious. Right now, she is still a little envious of this place. If her daughter island can be surrounded by dense fog in the windless zone, then this will greatly improve the defense capabilities of their country. Fog can actually be said to be clouds close to the ground. It is related to the season and the local temperature. The temperature difference between day and night may be relatively large here, so this kind of dense fog is formed. Captain, what should we do now? Now we have just reached the periphery, but we can hardly see our fingers. If you just rush in like this, you may easily fall into the enemy's trap. Quote. At this time, after analyzing the surrounding situation, Douglas Barrett turned to Qin Chuan and asked. Qin Chuan glanced at the boat behind him, and everyone was looking at him at this time, as if listening to his orders. At the same time, even if he hadn't completely entered the sea of thick fog ahead, his vision was already somewhat blurred. This Moonlight Moria himself is a scheming person, and his terrifying 3-masted sailing ship is huge. If he is not careful, he is really easy to be swallowed by it directly. His Red Fourth was fine, but the other ships might not be able to resist the attack of his zombie army. And this joint army fought with him as the leader. If there were heavy casualties, not only would it not bring him good publicity, but it would also reduce his reputation. So after thinking about it, he decided to open his own system store. At this time, after his long-term accumulation bit by bit, the prestige value in his system store has reached 230,000 again. And this time, he was looking for a ninja with strong Fengdun ninjutsu ability. After thinking for a long time, he focused his attention on the character card of Shimura Danzo. Obviously, in the world of Hokage, Shimura Danzo is the one with the strongest Fengdun. And Qin Chuan took a look. The exchange requirement for the Shimura Danzo character card is only 100,000 reputation points. For Qin Chuan, who is still somewhat wealthy, this is not worth mentioning at all. So Qin Chuan redeemed the Shimura Danzo character card without hesitation. Ding! The Shimura Danzo role card has been successfully exchanged, and the system will automatically deduct 100,000 reputation points from the host. Right now, Qin Chuan has completely used up the number of possessions, so he has to choose to exchange the number of possessions again. Ding! The number of x10 possession times has been successfully exchanged, and the system will automatically deduct 50,000 reputation points from the host. After this trip, Qin Chuan's reputation value has become 5 figures again, but he doesn't care about it now. Ding! The host successfully used the Shimura Danzo character card, and the number of possessions used -1. After using the character of Shimura Danzo for the first time, Qin Chuan suddenly felt an unusual breath pouring into his body. The next moment, he walked to the bow of the ship, then spread his hands and shouted loudly, "Wind escape tornado hurricane." When he finished shouting this sentence, there was a sudden gust of wind around the Red Fourth. The huge wind quickly spun on the spot, forming a strong hurricane in an instant. After seeing this hurricane, for a while, everyone on the decks of the major ships watched all this with dumbfounded. The atmosphere is quite eerie. A pair of eyes full of shock and horror looked at Qin Chuan in unison. At this time, even the crew members who accompanied him all the way behind him watched all this in astonishment. How can this guy create a storm? After seeing this scene, Shaw Crocodile muttered to himself. Moreover, the hurricane released by Qin Chuan is not an order of magnitude compared with the desert storm he created before, and the power is naturally worlds apart. Obviously, the hurricane created by Qin Chuan has a wider range, and its power will naturally not be too low. Can summon water, fire, and wind. Is this the legendary force of nature? Even Captain Roger didn't have such supernatural powers back then, right? Is he really from this world? Douglas Barrett, who has always claimed to be well informed, was completely stunned at this moment. He has never seen anyone who can summon the power of nature at will, which is incredible to him. On the other warship, Iseus couldn't help swallowing as he watched the giant storm that was slowly expanding. Fortunately, he didn't take a decisive action against Qin Chuan and others in Illusia at that time, otherwise he would have died in the line of duty by this time. But now, everything is different. If the naval force he leads performs well in this battle, he will not only be able to make up for his mistakes, but he may also be promoted because of it. In addition, on a small boat with a black flag, George, representing the World News Agency, was surprised and immediately turned on the camera to record this miraculous moment. And miracles are still happening. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.